which means till yesterday, till where we have written the code, I'm expecting that it is working for everyone. So, evening batch, to nearest neighbor. Okay. Now, guys, let me run this again. We have seen how the model is running. We have seen how it is predicting the value. It's just understand one thing. Can you see here? Let me tell you, few of the things are left undiscussed, like this random state. Okay. Now I am just removing this random state from now. Okay. You can see we are having the data of X train where the index position is 33. We are having the age here and we are having the estimated salary here. I have written the random state. This was the data set. That is how the train and test got distributed. Okay. Now, suppose if I'm going to run this once again, which means what I'm trying to say, that suppose if I'm running all these cells once again, you can see now it is randomly getting distributed again. Previously, the index position was 38 or something, right? Right now, it is showing 217. Okay. Now, you can see different index positions are there. 123, 231, 148. There are different index positions. Similarly, it is going to predict the different values or prediction for the test. Here you can see the array is also getting changed. Now you understand why we are writing the random state. Just because if I'm not going to write it, each time I'm going to run this model, it is randomly going to shuffle the data in the train and test, right? And it is going to give me the values like this. Getting it? So every time we are not going to get the similar accuracy. Make sense? What I'm trying to say is, suppose if I'm not going to write random state here. If you guys remember, in the NumPy, when we were declaring the NumPy array, random one, we always write np.random.seed, right? And inside that seed, we enter some value. Why we do that? Because the property of seed is that it will fix the randomness of the data for that certain period of time. Okay? Since you are going to come back again tomorrow, going to run it, then only it is going to refresh your data set. Okay? Just because the train and test shuffling is happening here randomly, we need to keep this in mind. If I'm going to run the model again and again, it is going to pick some different set of value for the training set, and it is going to again some different set of value for the test set, which means the value are getting shuffled, right? When the values are getting shuffled this randomly, I am never going to get any particular accuracy, which means if it is getting shuffled for the one time, I am getting the accuracy as 81 point something %. I am rerunning the model again without mentioning the random state. It is going to give me the accuracy, let's say 87%. I am again running the model. Now it is giving me 60%, something like that. Okay. Now this is the problem. Later we will see what is overfitting and underfitting, why we get this much accuracy variance while running the model. Understand one thing, if this is randomly distributing the data set and your accuracy is varying too much, let's say sometime it is coming 50%, later you are shuffling it again, it is coming 80%, you are having the gap in your data set, then it is the problem. Okay. But if you are removing the random state from here, you are running the model again and again, your accuracy is varying from the point. Let's say sometime it is coming 80, then it is 81, then maybe 79. Understand? We are good with this data set and the model. Okay. So random state is just to fix the randomness of the data. If I'm not going to write the random state, every time it is going to give me some different kind of accuracy, which we cannot stick with. Okay. So random state, I am simply writing and I am mentioning any number here. Understand that this number has no significance here in this case. Okay. It is just to fix the randomness of the data set. Okay. Now, since we have seen that we were predicting the values, we originally have the values like here, how to judge the accuracy of classification type of a model. Now understand this, guys, there is a reason why we are going series wise. Okay. Because people teach error matrix separately, models separately, and deployment separately. Get this? We have 3 stages of machine learning. First, we have to pick the data set. We have to do the correct formatting in the data set, and then we have to run the model. That is one phase. What is the second phase? After running the model, you are going to get the efficiency. Guys, I'm so sorry, I don't have writing pad today, so you will see the differences in my handwriting. Okay, so I told you that we have three phases. First, you are going to get the data. Okay, so once you are going to get the data, you are going to put that into the correct format, which means suppose you are having the categorical features, so you have to encode it, right? Suppose you are having the string type of a data which needs to get encoded in some two different format, we are going to do that. We will make the data set completely ready for the machine learning model, either to convert that into the NumPy array, either to do this or that, we will do. Okay, once my data is ready, the second thing is ML model implementation. Okay, we are going to run machine learning model on that data set. Okay, you are splitting it, you are fixing the random state, you are running the model, everything is perfectly fine. You are getting the predicted value, you are getting the actual value. Now, what is the third task? To judge the accuracy and error, which means how much your model is accurate, and if it is not accurate, then what kind of error we are having. Okay. Now, the fourth thing is your deployment. Deployment means, guys, making the model coming into an action. Right now, we are treating the model, we are making it useful, we are trying it, we are judging it, we are testing it. Once we find everything is perfectly fine, we deploy the model. Okay. So till here, we have done the job. Now, guys, remember, for every different type of a data, let's say if we are having the classification type of a model, we are going to have separate error matrix. If we are going to have regression type of a model, we are going to have separate matrix. When we are having the unsupervised machine learning models, we are going to have separate matrix. So right now we are dealing with the classification type of a model, and we will judge that how we can find the accuracy for the classification type of a model along with the error metric. So whenever in the near future you are going to have the classification model, this is how you are going to pick the error metric of that classification model. Okay, every time it is going to be same or remain constant. Getting it? Now, so how we can judge the accuracy or the error of classification type of a data? The concept called as confusion matrix. Okay, very important topic, because confusion matrix is something related to the hypothesis test, type 1 error, type 2 error. Okay, in hypothesis, if you guys remember, we must be having type 1 error and type 2 error. What I told you, we are going to deeply discuss this in the machine learning. These two are the same things. What you are going to learn right now in the confusion matrix, you can implement the same thing for the hypothesis testing. If somebody is going to ask you what is the type 1 error in the hypothesis, same. Someone is going to ask you what is type 2 error in the hypothesis, same. Getting the point? And understand, this is a very, very important concept. Confusion matrix is not only important for the judgment of classification model error or accuracy, it is also important from the interview perspective. Once somebody is going to dig you for the classification model, they will definitely ask you about the error metric. And in this case, in the case of classification models, we have the error metric here called as confusion metric. Okay. Now the name suggests, guys, confusion matrix, right? So you must be facing challenges while understanding this confusion matrix. That's why I'm keeping this separate session for this, so that we can give enough of time to this particular topic. Just a minute, let it get open. Okay. I accidentally opened something wrong. Yeah, this is the correct. Okay, it's very important to understand this concept. Not only important, but we can say that This is something. Yeah. This is something which is required to understand the classification type of a model as well. Okay? Let me just move this a bit. Oh God. Yeah. So I hope it is visible, perfectly visible. You can see we are having something called as the confusion matrix. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay. Describe the performance of a classification model. Now, there is a possibility that you guys might find this boring because we don't have any practical thing to do here, but there is a lot to understand. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to overburden you. Just understand this concept and we'll be done for today. Okay. So, confusion matrix. With a free mind, please listen to me. Drop everything, open your brain, close your eyes, and listen what I'm trying to say. Okay. Confusion matrix is a matrix. Understand there are two words. Okay. First word is your metric. Please confirm that you can see my drawing or not. Metric is one term. Matrix is one term. Okay, thank you. So understand metric is something, the concept or the topic. Metric means what? Suppose if I want to judge the performance of a model, what is performance metric? Suppose if I want to judge the error in the model, we are going to call that as error metric. Okay. Now, metric is one thing. What is matrix? You can see in the NumPy which we have created, something present in the 2-dimension. So here confusion matrix, when we are talking about, it is the matrix given exactly your right hand side corner. And what is metric? We are checking the performance metric of a classification model. Now look into this. Whenever we want to judge the performance of the classification model, we take the help of confusion matrix. Now you can see total number. Look into the matrix now. Leave everything. Okay. Wait. Okay, this is your matrix. Now you can see there are some of the things written: positive, negative, positive, negative. Okay. Actual positive, negative, predicted positive, negative. So what is this predicted? The one which we have predicted right now, which is your Y-pred. Okay. This is the actual, which means what, guys? This is your Y-pred. Now the actual one is what? What part of the data?
Y test.
Okay. So this is the Y test. Okay. We are having the Y test. We are having the Y prediction. Now we are going to check what is the matching of Y test to Y pred. Since this is the beautiful matrix because it is related to our data set which we were dealing with. In our data set of social media ad networks, we were having the entries like 0 and 1. Can we state 0 as false and 1 as true? Of course we can. Okay. You can also say that 1 belongs to positive, 0 belongs to negative. 1 belongs to positive here, 0 belongs to negative here. Now, the first thing here, you will see the first matrix. We are having the Y. We are having the Y test. We are having the Y-pred. Now, we are picking the 1 values of each, which means, remember your Jupyter notebook. If you can see, This entry is 0 for the Y test, right? I am going to slowly move above and see what is this for the Y thread. As I can see, this is 0 for the Y test, 0 for the Y thread, which means what? They both are false, false or negative, negative. In which section of the matrix it is going to fall? This is a negative, which means the actual value was negative and the predicted value was also negative. The actual value was 0, the predicted value was also 0. So where they are getting crossover? Here. True, negative. Okay, so let's not pick it from there. Let's pick it from true, positive. What is true, positive? When we are having some actual value as positive in the Y test, which is the original value, and my model predicted exactly that 1. Okay, my original value was positive, my model predicted positive. So what we are value having? True, positive. True positive means what? If you bifurcate these two words, you will understand. Truly positive. It was actually positive. My model predicted that positive. Okay. So once it is truly positive, if it is actually positive, my model predicted it positive, which means we are perfectly predicting the value, and this is called as true positive. Since we are having overall 100 set of entries, my model predicted actual positive, the correct positive, and we are having 65 set of entries. So what do you guys think? Is it going to be the error or the accuracy? In which category it is going to fall? Error category or the accuracy category? If I'm having the positive value as 1 and negative value or positive value as 1 for the test, predicted value as positive again, it is falling in the true positive and it is the accurate. Okay, which means my model is predicting accurate values. So coming into the sense for negative and negative, where my actual value is negative and my model is predicting that person negative, we call that as true negative, and this also falls under the category of the accuracy. So you can say that this diagonal belongs for the accuracy in the data set. Or in other words, you can also say that this is actual, this is predicted, right? In the diagonal, we are having the accurately predicted values, which is 65 plus 24. Overall, we are having 100 set of entries. How many more set of entries my model predicted correctly? 989. What is the accuracy of my model, guys? 89%.
89%.
Correct? Now, let me tell you what is this false negative and false positive. And why we call this as type 1 error and type 2 error. Now understand, this is similar to as that of your hypothesis testing. Okay, whenever you do hypothesis testing, we are going to have type 1 and type 2 types of error. Now let's take quick one example of you can say COVID. Okay, so what is in the COVID, if you guys remember, there was one test, right, which we were doing. Let's say if we know that somebody is COVID positive, right? Let's say if you're having the symptoms, I'm sneezing, I'm not feeling well, I lost my taste. In such cases, we feel like there's a possibility that we are COVID positive. So we call the people, we ask them to take our samples and to check. Either we are COVID positive or negative. Now guys, there is a possibility that you must be having the common cold. And there is also a possibility that you are COVID positive. If you guys remember, there was so much controversy related to this RT-PCR test, right? Some of the people, they were not even COVID. positive, the report was showing positive. They picked them up, throw them into the hospital. So those who were just dealing with the normal cold, they also went to hospital. Getting it? Why I'm bringing that concept here? The RT-PCR, I'm not saying that it was 100% accurate. There was certain kind of efficiency. If you search it on Google right now, you will find that it is not 100% accurate. There is something, let's say 93 or 94% of accuracy we are having for it. Okay? So suppose you are COVID positive and your RT-PCR predicted you positive. It's a good thing. You are going hospital, you are getting yourself treated, you are coming back home. You are COVID negative, your RT-PCR treating you as negative, you are staying home, you are happy that you are having the common cold. But what is the case when you are actually positive, but report is predicting you that as negative? It's an issue. You are COVID positive, your report is predicting you negative, you will stay in your home, you will spread the disease. Right? So basically, what is the false negative concept? It says that whenever we are having the value positive in nature, my model is predicting that negative. And that is the misleading information. That is type 2 error. Okay? When we are having the positive value, my model is treating that negative. We call that as you are falsely predicting that value negative. Actually, it is positive in nature, and we call that as false negative, and we have 3 entries for the false negative. Similarly, if you see the cross diagonal of it, we are having the actually. Consider you are actually negative, okay? You just have the symptoms of COVID. You have, let's say, a normal cold, normal sneezing, you are feeling a bit uneasy. You thought of doing the RT-PCR test because you're not sure, right? So what happened? You were actually negative, but your report judged you or resulted you as the positive, that we call as false positive, which means it is falsely predicting you positive. True negative means what? Truly predicting you negative. You are negative. It is negative. Truly positive. You are positive, model is predicting positive. False negative means you are positive, but model is negatively predicting you or falsely predicting you negative. False positive, you are truly negative, but your model is predicting you falsely positive. That is the case. And this cross diagonal is called as error matrix. And in these 2 sections, you are going to find type 1 error and type 2 error. Okay, so you can see that we are having 89% accuracy of the model. From here, I can clearly see what is the error percentage, guys? 13%. Okay, so you can say that if I'm going to enter 100 entries of data, my model is going to predict 89 of them correctly, and rest 11 of them incorrectly. Getting it? Making sense? Now, there are certain parameters also which helps to make judgment with the help of confusion matrix. Okay? What is the type 1 error? What is the type 2 error? We'll see that later. Just understand, we do have accuracy, precision, and recall. These are again the metric present inside the classification model. You guys have to judge or predict manually. We do have libraries present here. We do have everything here. We just need to judge it. Okay? We just need to judge it on the basis of the model. Simple.